Bună seara, oameni minunați! Numele meu nu contează care este, oricum nu am ales eu. O să vă prezint în seara aceasta un om special, minunat. Cred că fără ajutorul lui, nu cred, sunt convins că fără ajutorul lui nu eram aici în seara aceasta să povestim aceste minunate lucruri. O să-l las pe el să vorbească despre activitățile lui, însă eu doar pot să vă spun că va veni din Slovenia, Ljubljana, să ne povestească despre întreaga călătorie de mulți ani la sat cu pacienți oncologici din Slovenia care accesează uleiul de cannabis full spectrum. Doamnelor și domnilor, Božidar Radišič din Slovenia, Ljubljana.
Thank you. Thank you also for the invitation to be here to spread the word about cannabis. Today I will talk not just about the cannabis use, because maybe this we can do through the questions on the end, but also about the education, because education is the key that cannabis comes into mainstream medicine. We are working now in the field of cannabis more than 15 years, and already at the beginning we realized that there will be nothing if you don't educate people, especially professionals like doctors and nurses. But we started actually with our patients, but the education, as you see, we perform is for patients, for users, professionals, journalists, and especially officials and politicians. Because without the officials, even if politicians are in favor of, usually the bureaucrats are the one who oppose the changes. That's normal, because after changes they have a lot of work to do. You know, new laws, new regulations, and everything. So, with patients, we work through our lectures on the local communities, you know, associations of some neurological diseases, oncological patients, because the administration routes and dosages can vary from one another. And why we actually started all this story, I collect data from the criminal prosecution of Slovenia, mostly patients, and already back in 2014 we issued the report on the criminalization of cannabis users, which were mostly patients. This had some impact, you know, and nowadays you can hardly find any judge in Slovenia who will prosecute a patient who is growing for himself, even if it is not allowed in Slovenia yet. We also hold lectures on the fairs, health food fairs, you know, health living fairs and so on, because I think this goes together. And we also hold lectures abroad like this. We were almost all over the world. So this way we can exchange experience with other professionals, you know, and as you will see later, we already back in 2014 started to organize scientific conferences. And also, yes, we are active on the social media, not too much, but enough. On the beginning was most important the education of patients, not just how to take the medicine on proper way, but also how to grow properly, how to recognize the right extract from another, as you see here, how to grow indoor, because there is Since 2014, there is a verdict from the Supreme Court where actually they pardoned the already convicted patient for growing for himself and for his wife. So de facto in Slovenia is this not the criminal offense anymore, if you have some medical condition. Then we teach them how to harvesting, curing and drying properly that product, because you know, just if you have a good starting product, you can have good end product, which you use then for as a medicine. This is also very important, you know, all this on the right down this edge is are different extracts, because extract is it's very important that extract is good quality and with known cannabinoid content. So then, just then, you can really dose properly, because otherwise it's like a house numbers, you know. We don't know what. Yeah. So, what we also teach our patients or general public is how to consume cannabis safe and efficient. So in those years we developed, you know, our own recipes, but actually it's very easy. The cannabis dose, if I'm talking now about the rectal administration, which is almost without any side effects, but with the best effect. The starting dose is like with 1 milligram per kilo, and we raise it up to 10 milligrams per kilo, sometimes even more. You cannot even close eat this amount, you know, because even 20-30 milligrams for an adult can be way too much. But 700 or 500 milligrams a day, it will knock you out for 2 days, at least. So you cannot function. But with suppositories, I'm sure somebody knows there is no side effects. So this is the main route. Then later I will tell you about more. Our first study was with Professor Neubauer on epileptic kids. This is also work actually with parents, not so much with doctors. We collect data from them. So we try to teach them how to take medicine properly. And this is also why I decided almost 10 years ago to start our own laboratory where we test cannabinoids. It is illegal in Slovenia, but you know, somebody has to do it. And until now, I think we analyzed more than 5,000 different products from the black market and even from the legal market, so we can compare. I know it's illegal. Obviously, everybody in Slovenia knows what we are doing. I don't have any problems with it, even ministry knows, because I think they know that it's better to know what is on the black market than not to know anything. And you know, if governments would be more clever, they would use this data, especially now when in Europe, as you will see now, it's a big boom. Everybody go medical and also personal use. So we should, you know, make it affordable for people as soon as possible. So what we offer to our patients, or most patients or general public, is quality control through HPLC and GCMS testing. Then we teach them about the dosage, of course, depending on the condition and the diagnosis. Then different application methods. Again, depending on the condition and diagnosis. We teach them about side effects. If you overdose orally, it can be very unpleasant if you don't know what to do. because you know you will die. No, you will not, for sure, but it can be a very bad experience. So I really don't recommend to take oral, especially not if you have very good extract, because it can be very interesting, let's say. And why is work with patient important? Because that's the only way we can collect some data from them. I am now working on a survey because, as you here see, I do most of the analysis for patients for free. You know, now we collect in January. Now from Christmas till end of January, almost 500 samples. And they will also receive the service and give me back. It's a lot of work, you know, a lot of data. I cannot do it all by myself, but I hope it will be finished soon and to present, you know, for each of this disease, because 500 or even 300, it's a big population in statistics. So there, you know, it will be helpful data. It should be done by doctors and public institutions, not by us, you know, even in Slovenia, but the result of looking away from cannabis, I will show you what is happening in Slovenia. Nobody trusts doctors anymore. That's the problem. That was an official survey from Faculty of Social Sciences, where they had some questions about cannabinoid medicine and doctors and the relation between patient, and nobody trusts doctors anymore because they don't know anything, or they are negative towards the cannabis because they don't know anything about it. You know, that's always correlated somehow. Okay, and then on the end, if you work with patients, then you get real-world evidence, and as you see, this was clinical observation of 10 cases of encephalopathy. We were smuggling trichomes, CBD trichomes, full profile from Canada, because it was 10 years ago, we couldn't get it, with Dr. Paul Hornby. I was lucky that Professor Neubar, who was the head of child neurology on the University Clinical Center, joined us. So if you have such people around, they can nobody can really oppose, you know. So that was the first breakthrough, because mothers with epileptic kids are a strong weapon. You should use it as well, you know, in your battle. And then I also made, back in 2014, 15, I don't know, 16, cannabis use and glioblastoma. You know, glioblastoma and other brain tumors are very, very severe diseases, and modern medicine doesn't have actually any answer on it, as you know. But I will show you, this was, yeah. So I made a survey with 40 questions about a lot of it, but it's one lecture just about that. But the most important is this: most people have improvement with cannabis, you know, like 70% of the population. Maybe not all survived, or, you know, survived the cancer, but you have to consider also on quality of life, remaining life, you know, because if you are really in bad shape, and I don't know what they have to, you know, push too much and poison people, because if something is so far that it's unfixable, then you know, it's so-called palliative care, but through this palliative use of cannabis, many miracles came out, because people were almost dead and on the sudden they were okay. Not everybody, but a lot of them. So This is what I want to say just quickly, survey of faculty. And Europodona was also, Europodona is association of Slovenian Association of Breast Cancer in Slovenia, and they also had sent to their members, you know, because they have to have bigger population or pattern or whatever. And this is what is actually came out. So, half of population would take cannabis just if it is recommended by doctor. This is very poor for mainstream medicine because it means half of people doesn't trust doctor, and you know what I mean. Then I agree if it is not recommended by a doctor, and this one is even better. Wait. No, not this one. I just had this lecture recently in Iceland, and it's, I'm always somewhere. Yeah. So, I don't know how is the situation here in Romania, but as you see, most of people who has serious medical condition are using cannabis in some way. In Slovenia, this is really widespread. It's on newspapers and everywhere. It's on national media, television, radio, all the time. And now we will get the new medical law in end of November, and personal use will be decriminalized and allowed since March, more or less. That was the result of referendum we organized back in, when it was? In April or June, I don't know. So 52% of voters say yes for personal use and 67% for medical use. So they have to do now something. Maybe this is also an idea for you guys. And then this is, so what type of cannabis-based product have you used? More 1/3 artisan preparation at home. This is what we are also helping people to do. CBD preparations, and 0% official pharmaceutical preparation with certificates, epidiolex and dronabinol. Nobody wants that. Because cannabis is very medicinal plant, but plant as a whole. You know, if you compare to a wine, if you just extract alcohol from a wine, this alcohol is not wine anymore. And if you just isolate THC or CBD from the plant, it's not the plant anymore. It's and it doesn't work that way. Cannabis doesn't work that way because of our endocannabinoid system, and this is one of the reasons why Big Pharma doesn't want to enter cannabis. The only, as you heard yesterday, Christina, the only company who which performed clinical studies is GW Pharma, somewhere in Australia, and that's it. There are no clinical studies anywhere in the world, unfortunately, even if it is a lot. Okay. Although I have to say that I like, this is also very important, user experience. 81% of patients rated cannabis use as positive, and the population was 40 years above, mostly 60 plus. Yeah, so it's time to, you know, bring it back. So this is also very important, what side effects you have with cannabis-based medicine. Most of them, a bit of dizziness, and if you are dizzy, you cannot drive. But this was 17%. But half of population, none, and almost another half, very modest side effects. So don't be afraid of using cannabis. And this is also very important for your professionals. Have you ever talked to your doctor about using cannabis-based preparation? 53% no. Because they see that even if you start the conversation, you will have a wall and hardly any doctor will talk about it. Especially, I don't know how it's here. Now it's a bit easier in Slovenia, you know. But this is such a hypocrisy, you know. A doctor in Slovenia cannot prescribe the cannabis as a medicine, but when you go out of his office, he say, get yourself my cannabis as soon as possible. So this is not how doctors should, you know, do it. Yeah. Okay. So the survey conclusion, and then we go. The use of cannabis products for medical purposes in Slovenia is very widespread among the general population and especially among the oncology preparations. You know. Unfortunately, most patients do not communicate with their doctor about the use of cannabis product, which is pity and stupid, because on that way they don't get real-world evidence data back, and they actually don't know anything about it. But that's too bad, because you know data collecting is very important. So the second segment of education are then professionals. I will be quick to talk later about practical use. But back in 2014, somehow, you know, karma came together. And on the left, on this photo, is Lumir Hanush. He is the discoverer of anandamide and actually endocannabinoid system. And here on the right is Rick Simpson. He is the big activist, Rick Simpson oil. I brought them together to Ljubljana, so we have, you know, it was a very nice conference. As you see here was also Dr. Paul Horby. And it was also under honorary patronage of President of Slovenia, already 3 times. So this is how we started. We hosted more than 50 scientists from all over the world. This is our lab on the faculty, as you see, and this is our lab on the faculty. This is my colleague Roman. He's run all the tests. And the result is this. As I mentioned before, I realized that if cannabis doesn't come into mainstream medicine, nothing will change. You will have 1–2% people who are, you know, smuggling and do whatever. So since 2019, we organized 5 seminaries on the Faculty of Health Sciences, where I have the laboratory together with them. And all those seminars are recognized from Medical Chamber of Slovenia and Nurses Chamber of Slovenia as official training, which is very important, you know, because nobody can really oppose anymore. Because of this, we also cooperate with some companies like which are willing to support our efforts, because all this what I talk is very expensive. And so we also cooperate with the International Cannabis Business Conference, the Tolman Group, with Genoplant. We just developed a new cannabinoid profiling machine, which is 1/10 of the price of HPLC and portable. And together with this company, I have to mention this, we are sending cannabis seeds to space with SpaceX in next February. And then we will follow if there will be any differences in genetics, you know, on the agricultural faculty in Ljubljana for 2–3 generations. So, you know, they want to explore space. Cannabis is perfect plant for it, because you can have food and you can have fiber even in space, and you can have medicine. And cannabis withstands high dose of radiation, solar radiation and cosmic radiation. So we'll see, nobody knows upfront what will happen. So the next segment, of course, are journalists, because we have to teach them as well, because usually if there is anything what they have to say about drugs or cannabis, they go to ministry, where they get wrong answers on wrong questions. You know. So we worked a lot with journalists, and maybe I think every week are at least 2-3 articles in the mainstream journals or daily newspapers about cannabis and stupidity around it. You know. Because I'm sorry, but how stupid can be the fact that in Germany patient can get cannabis and in Romania can get jailed for the same thing? This is nonsense. Or Slovakia or other countries. You know, if something is medicine, it should be considered as medicine, not as a drug. Fentanyl and heroin and methadone are all drugs, but also medicine. Right? And nobody complicates. And the last and the most important segment are, of course, officials and politicians. It wasn't easy to convince them, you know, but we invited scientists, human rights activists, we invited Lumir, Dusan Olival, all Professor Neubauer, Professor Dr. Horton from Canada, and we organized a session in Slovenian Parliament. And this is already some event where they cannot look away. You know, so it also had some impact. The last session like this was this March in Slovenian Parliament, and I hope in less than a year we will have the new law. This is also, I think, Romania has also signed this Alma Ata Convention. I think this is Alma Ata Convention. Actually, the Helsinki Convention is this. You know. So every doctor can prescribe whatever if he finds out that nothing can help this patient. And he is obliged to report if this patient, if it helps him anything. You know, this is, you know, this intervention should be going to be made the object of research designed to evaluate its safety and efficiency. In all cases, new information must be recorded and, when appropriate, made publicly available. Also, your country signed this declaration, so you should use this. You know. And on the end, I just want to show you 2 cases. One was girl born on 28th of August 2013 and diagnosed with anaplastic ependymoma on 31st of December the same year. It was like not even 4-month-old baby. Here you can see the cancer in her brain. If you see this, what is this? Like 70% of cancer of brain was in cancer. That was the New Year's Eve 2013, so 11 years now. And that was then, of course, she underwent surgery because it was too big mess. You have to clean it up, if nothing else, because of necrosis or whatever. And this was then on 22nd of July. And this was, you can see that there is new brain without any cancer. And her name is Mila. That was her last MR, and she is now going to the primary school in the 2nd grade, so she is 11 years old and she is perfectly healthy. The other one, is there any doctor here? Maybe a physician or somebody who knows what is Xenoderma pigmentosa. It's a very, very, very hard or shitty genetic disease. And a friend came back in 2017 to Slovenia for a guy named Donald from Zimbabwe, and that was Donald back in that time. So it's a genetic disorder with hundreds of small melanoma. He was, as you will see, almost blind. You will see his eyes. You know, we made complete observation. My friend does it in Zimbabwe. So eyes, clouded side. This was already better. This tumor growth, infected lesions, tumor growth on the lips, on the tongue, so it was really a bad condition. That was day 24. This white thing, it's hydrogen peroxide, just cleaning the wound. You know. That was day 28 of observation, and this is Donald today. So it's a big difference, you know, and he was one of the reasons why they implemented cannabis program in Zimbabwe, maybe 6 months after this. Yeah. So, you know, cannabis can be very powerful tool for most of the autoimmune diseases, cancer, neurological conditions like amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Parkinson's, epilepsy. Epilepsy is not a disease, it's a symptom of something going in the head, but it helps a lot. Especially with, also with HD, you know, autistic spectrum kids. It helps them because it brings them down. But of course, I'm not talking about CBD, I'm talking about THC, because synonym for the medicinal cannabis 20 years ago was high THC strains, not CBD. CBD will help because it's symbiotic, but still most of the receptors in our body are CB1 receptors, especially in the reproductive system, brain, and immune system, and so it's anandamide and 2-AG, and replacement is just THC. It cannot, CBD cannot bind directly to any receptors. So it will not help, it will not harm you, but the results will not be as good as with full plant extract. So most people in Slovenia now are taking suppositories. I told you why, because it's almost without side effects. We make also nasal spray for as an epistatus instead of epistatus from hospital, because if you use epistatus on epileptic seizure with the kid is knocked out for 3 to 5 days. It's such a hard drug. It stops, but he's knocked out completely. You know. And especially with epileptic kids, if they are on too many drugs, you know, then they don't have any cognitive development. Not even, you know, and then they blame drugs, but it's not because of epilepsy itself, because of the drugs. Because if you're stoned all the time, or drunk all the time, or whatever, you cannot develop because you don't have any interactions. And with cannabis, those conditions improved a lot. I think you should press more on your politicians, officials, professionals, because if something is medicine in Slovenia, Germany, wherever in European Union, you are also part of European Union, so you know what I mean. And you are also in Schengen, so if somebody wants to have medical cannabis legally, whoever lives in Germany or in country where it's medical cannabis allowed, you can buy it there and you can bring it back to Romania without any problems. Because any drugs that doctor prescribe you, you can have with you everywhere on the world if you have a paper. So maybe this is also the way, but doctors will not be very happy, you will see. So maybe now if somebody has some questions about practical use of cannabis, I can tell you some.
First of all, mai întâi aș vrea să-i mulțumim că a venit dama din Slovenia. E închis? Am zis că mai întâi, dacă vreți, să-i și mulțumim că a venit din Slovenia și a făcut un efort pentru prezentarea aceasta și să-l aplaudăm. I said that we are very grateful coming here. I wish my mother could benefit from this treatment because almost 10 years ago, it was really difficult to use so high quantity and all the methods. So I tried, and still 4 years more than doctor said, it's very good. Vreau să adaug de ce am luat cuvântul, pentru că am avut șansa să vorbesc cu dumnealui înainte de târg și ne propunem prin intermediul federației să ajutăm și mai mult pacienții din România și atunci o să creăm cumva, o să punem cap la cap detaliile astfel încât pacienții din România să poată beneficia de sfaturile și de expertiza lui și de altor medici cu care deja colaborăm și de asemenea în cadrul Academiei de Cânepă pe care o să o lansăm împreună cu Federația, sunt convinsă că o să ne ajute cu niște cursuri dedicate medicilor sau personalului medical sau celor interesați și vreau doar să vă transmit încă o dată în plus. Scanați, o să găsiți și pe site-ul Expo La Canepa, scanați codul respectiv pentru a deveni parte din mișcarea asta noastră și în afară de acest lucru să primiți informațiile de la niște profesioniști, de la oameni cu multă experiență. A lot of words in Romanian, but basically what I said was that we are very happy and honored that through our federation that we are creating now, we will collaborate and cooperate more with you and other specialists from around the world. And hopefully with the studies that you have shown us, we will also have a lot of doctors here in Romania that will collaborate with you, and we will have more proof for the patients, for our government, and so on. Dacă există întrebări în sală, vă rog frumos, George, dacă vrei tu să le dai microfon sau cine dorește să le întrebe ceva. Și în română puteți și traducem noi. Dacă aveți vreo întrebare medicală de utilizare, cum se utilizează, dacă aveți temeri în privința efectelor secundare, da? Imediat.
Aș vrea să știu dacă se poate vindeca o rană infectată cu ceva tratament legat de cannabis sau de...
George? Just translate.
Okay, she asked if there are data or information about infected wounds treated with cannabis oil.
Yes, of course. The extracts and also terpenes are very antibacterial, so you can use without any fear for some secondary infection. If it is good product, let's put it that way. Yes, you can use it.
Da, se poate folosi fără nicio problemă, mai ales la răni infectate de gradul 2.
Să înțeleg că în cazul ăsta se poate renunța la antibiotice?
Can we understand that we can replace this with antibiotics?
Not always. But there is another thing which you should know. Everybody who is taking CBD, especially CBD, is actually more problematic than THC. Because especially in neurological diseases with small kids, where they use anti-epileptics, if you add CBD to the treatment, then you have to start to follow the levels of the toxins, because CBD degrades the toxins, affect the degradation of toxins in the liver. So you have higher concentrations of antibiotics and other drugs. But otherwise, it doesn't work on the same level, so it doesn't interact with antibiotics.
Spune că nu se poate înlocui în toate cazurile, însă trebuie să fim foarte atenți la ce folosim și trebuie să luăm în calcul tot timpul acțiunea fiecărui cannabinoid și THC-ul se poate lua în concordanță cu antibioticele, însă CBD-ul are șanse de a crea mai mari probleme prin controlarea degradării toxinelor în organism. Mulțumim. Thank you. Mai sunt întrebări?
I have a question. You were saying before about the fact that the drugs, when you extract the THC or the CBD, they don't have the same effect, and you're talking like the medical chemical drugs. They don't have the best effect on treating different conditions as a full spectrum, or did I understand?
Yes, of course. If you use isolates are never so effective. Actually, with this cerebral palsy study, it showed that kids who are using just isolate CBD, Epidiolex, many times condition got worse. Because it must be the whole plant extract. Until now, I think it's more than 400 different cannabinoids in plant, almost 200 terpenes, and all together over 3,000 active compounds in a cannabis plant. And you know, just to take THC or CBD or combinations of those, it's not. But when you take not traditional, but Western medicine, if you take CBD, the problem is that the liver enzyme cytochrome P450 will lower the degradation of so you will have of the chemicals in the body, so pills, let's say, and you will, if you use CBD, you can use much less pills with the same effect, you know, and you make less damage to your body or to somebody else's body.
Thank you for that explanation. So my question was also, since there's like evidence of the fact that the full spectrum plant is more efficient, have you made any studies with other plants that would have a trigger in the endocannabinoidic system in the body, like for example nutmeg? Nutmeg has the different...
Yeah, there are, you have more plants which affect our endocannabinoid system. You have anandamide in cocoa, you have similar compounds like THC in truffles, in black pepper, and in some other herbs. I will not remember now all the hops, like for the beer. Hops is one of the closest relatives to cannabis. So I'm sure there is, but this is the, you know, still needs some research.
That's what I was asking, because the difference is that most of those other ones are legal. And so I was wondering if you made any studies.
You know, no, unfortunately not. But Today, preclinical, clinical studies are very expensive. The only subject who can afford it is pharma industry. You know, I'm also always telling on conferences that cannabis industry should support cannabis research, because we cannot expect that Pfizer will do, or AstraZeneca, or whoever. You know. Because all this, what we have done, was done with our own funds. We didn't get any euro from our government. So yes, I agree. It should be more work on this, you know, naturopathic side, you know, but it doesn't.
Okay, thank you very much.
Să zic întâi în română, vreau să știu dacă există experiență în privința pacienților cu boală în Crohn și pentru că știu că mulți aveți cei care nu, mă rog, au fricile legate de utilizarea cannabisului, sunt anumite contraindicații în anumite afecțiuni psihice și aș fi vrut să știu dacă, de exemplu, asta e problema, de exemplu, o parte din medici din România, psihiatrii, se tem de utilizarea cannabisului și le exclud total, uneori chiar și CBD-ul, deși acela, dimpotrivă, are beneficii în privința problemelor psihice și aș vrea să știu și experiența lui pe problemele psihice. So basically what I said, I was very interested in if you have any experience with Crohn's disease patients and also with mental illnesses, because this is a real issue also here in Romania with doctors who are afraid in using or prescribing both THC and CBD. So what's your experience?
So for doctors, I will be short. We are in 21st century, for God's sake. You know, there are the cannabis plant is the most researched plant on the planet with more than 150,000 studies. They should, because you are afraid of something that you don't know about. So obviously they don't know anything about cannabis plant, and then they are afraid. They should learn a bit more. With Crohn's disease, colitis and all this is usually in the head. It's not in the guts. It's in the guts because this is the second brain. And if you are under constant stress, there is no wonder. So yes, cannabis can bring Crohn's disease to a complete remission, but also the diet has a huge role. So even with cannabis, if they don't change the diet and style of living, you cannot expect any, not as much as you would do. But cannabis helps a lot, especially THC. 2 years ago, I was when we were in Colombia, in Medellin. It was a big scientific conference, and the lady, doctor from Brazil, Paula Dalstella, had very interesting lecture about the effect of the diet on the endocannabinoid system. Because your food can make you depressed, your food can make you anxious, and your food can bring you cancer and other problems.
Vreau să închei cu o întrebare sau să adresez o întrebare. Ați vorbit despre uleiul de cannabis sub formă de spray nazal. Puteți elabora în câteva cuvinte, câteva detalii despre acest spray? Din ce este obținut exact și cum se folosește? I was asking, you were saying in your presentation, you were describing about the use of the nasal spray, the cannabis oil under nasal spray form. Can you elaborate us in a couple of words some details about what contains the nasal spray and how it's been used exactly?
So it can be used for migraines, for headaches, It can be used also topically because it's nothing else than MCT oil with good extract. You know, for a nasal application, I make a solution which every spray gives you 5 milligrams of THC in the nose. Because in the nose, even if you spray twice, you will be stoned as hell. You know, because the cannabis or THC penetrate through labial veins very quick to the brains. So even very small amount can be very psychoactive. Therefore, I prefer spray than drops, because drops can be 2 or 3, you know, spray, you squeeze and that's it. For migraines, as epistatus, and for brain tumors.
So basically, the people that were using the nasal spray was exactly this form: the MCT, coconut oil, plus the extract. Only this, nothing else. Just these two.
Nature is simple.
Thank you. Mai sunt întrebări? Nimeni? Nimeni? Se pare că avem o întrebare.
But of course, you have to have a good extract and good quality. That's the precondition.
Auzind de mai multe ori partea asta de ulei bun, ne-am dorit să ne spui câteva idei, câteva gânduri legate de la ce să fim atenți atunci când alegem un ulei și poate, dat fiind experiența, câteva locuri de unde ar putea fi, să spunem, achiziționat. Basically, you said a lot in your response about the good oil. Can you share with us a few tips and tricks regarding how what are we looking when we want to choose an oil, and maybe, let's say, a few places where we can find the good oil? And I don't know, what should we look for?
So, whatever you do, even if you cook, you have to have good ingredients, right? If you have bad ingredients, you cannot cook good food. You know what I mean? And every step, from the seed and the soil to the extraction, must be good quality. You know, it may not be oxidized, it may not be the right quality. Then it must be processed properly, you know. But on the end, it's very important that you have the laboratory where you can test how much cannabinoids are in your end product. You can have the same strain on the same, I don't know, 10 or 100 square meters, and each plant will have the different cannabinoid profile. Some will have lower, some will have higher, different between the cannabinoids. So therefore, generally speaking, the good extracts are 60+% at least. More, better, you know. And this can be only done in laboratory with HPLC, with GCMS, or with this crystal, with the new machine. Thin layer chromatography, which you can buy online, you know, this silicone, this is not really accurate, and it's not usable. So every step, good flower, good extraction, and then you have a good product.
Is there everybody that has it officially?
Well, no.
All around the globe?
No. The problem is that all products that are coming from abroad, you know, Canada or wherever, must be radiated. And radiation kills a lot of things in the medicine. You know, Bedrocan, I made a few, is very poor quality, very moldy. You know, everything what you grow big, it cannot be good. which food you like more, from the, you know, local producer or from, I don't know, black producer. It's the same. You know. Therefore, I really put a lot of effort to convince people to grow for themselves. Because sick people are the best growers because they are with the heart, you know. Really. And it's almost for free then, you know. Cannabis is still expensive on the black market. I don't know, but if they grow for themselves and we process for them and make quality control, it's like 1 to 10. It's 1 gram, €5. If you buy it on the black market, it's €50 or more. You know.
Can I translate this?
Yes, of course.
Cel mai bun semn pentru a avea un ulei de calitate, nu-l putem spune într-un cuvânt. Adevărul este că de la sămânța plantată în pământ până la procesul de extracție a uleiului, totul trebuie să fie de calitate. Și de asta este atât de important să avem tot procesul bine stabilit și bine organizat. Iar, din păcate, la a doua parte a întrebării, nu există un loc special, nici măcar nicăieri în lume unde se poate găsi acest ulei. Produsele care vin de peste mări și țări, din Canada, de exemplu, trebuie să fie radiate pentru a intra la noi în țară. Iar știm foarte bine că dacă radiem acele produse, putem degrada calitatea. Da, ăsta este practic și motivul pentru care domnul Božidar spune că încurajează în Slovenia pacienții să-și crească singuri planta în curte, pentru că cel mai bun cultivator de cânepă se pare că este omul bolnav. El o va crește cu inima.
I just want to add, if the patients take over the responsibility for them and they grow, tell me which judge will send to jail patient with glioblastoma at the end of his life. You know, they don't have face to do it. So this is also the point.
Vrea să ne transmită că trebuie să avem încredere și curaj și întrebarea lui este ce judecător va lua acțiuni împotriva unui pacient, în special oncologic. They say a lot, but it's a big country, so we have to do a lot.
But you have to help them with media coverage and so on.
Okay.
So, thank you very much, Božidar, for your presentation. We really appreciate the fact that you traveled to our beautiful country, and we appreciate the fact that you were sharing all the experiences with us. Thank you very much, Božidar.
We will be back here at Expo La Canepa next year.
Okay.
Thank you. Mulțumim tuturor. Am terminat pe ziua de astăzi, am ratat câteva prezentări din ce aveați în agenda, dar le introducem mâine. Și pentru cei care sunteți aici în sală, în loc de ora 2, mâine începem la 1, ca să-i vedem pe băieții ăștia minunați cu Academia de Cânepă. Și o să mai avem o prezentare pe care iarăși am ratat-o astăzi și atunci mâine nu veniți mai devreme un pic la prezentările noastre, astea au fost.
Și încă ceva foarte important, mâine la, nu știu cum a dat Dumnezeu, vom avea un testimonial cu mama mea, care acum 2 luni era imobilizată la pat, avea nevoie de asistență permanentă și era pe fentanil. Iar datorită unui om a cărui nume tradus ar însemna darul lui Dumnezeu, datorită acestui om am reușit să venim aici. S-a ridicat din pat și suntem aici prezenți după 2 luni de tratament cu supozitoare. Mai multe detalii vom avea mâine despre acest caz. Vă mulțumim!